The small town of Millfield had always been known for its peace and quiet, with residents living in harmony and rarely encountering any trouble. However, all that changed when a new resident moved in. His name was Frank, and he was unlike anyone they had ever met before. Frank was a loner, always keeping to himself and never interacting with anyone. He lived in a small, run-down house on the outskirts of town, surrounded by overgrown weeds and a yard filled with garbage. At first, the residents of Millfield were curious about Frank and tried to be friendly, but he always rebuffed their attempts and made it clear that he wanted to be left alone. But then strange things began to happen. Late at night, people would hear noises coming from Frank's house, screams, banging, and other unsettling sounds. Some people reported seeing strange figures moving around in the shadows, and others claimed to have seen Frank wandering around town, muttering to himself and acting in bizarre ways. One day, a group of teenagers decided to explore Frank's house, hoping to find out what was going on. They snuck in through a broken window and made their way through the dark, dingy rooms. As they crept deeper into the house, they began to notice a disturbing pattern. The walls were covered in strange markings and symbols, and there were torture devices and other gruesome tools scattered around. Suddenly, they heard a creaking sound coming from upstairs. They froze in terror, listening as the footsteps grew closer and closer. And then they saw him, Frank, standing at the top of the stairs, his face twisted in a terrifying grin. He lunged towards them, brandishing a knife, and the teenagers ran for their lives. After that, the residents of Millfield lived in fear, never knowing when or where Frank would strike next. Some people reported seeing him walking through the streets at night, muttering to himself and laughing maniacally. Others claimed to have seen him lurking in the shadows, watching their every move. But it wasn't until the night of the town's annual festival that the true horror of Frank's madness was revealed. The festival was a lively affair, with people dancing and singing and enjoying the warm summer night. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the music stopped. The crowd fell silent as they saw Frank standing on the stage, holding a young woman hostage with a knife to her throat. "Nobody move," he snarled, "or I'll kill her." The crowd watched in horror as Frank began to rant and rave, his eyes bulging, his voice growing louder and more manic by the minute. He talked about his hatred for the town and the people in it, about how he had always been an outcast and had finally decided to take revenge on those who had wronged him. And then he did the unthinkable. He plunged the knife into the young woman's neck, blood spurting out in a gruesome fountain. The crowd screamed and scattered, running for their lives as Frank laughed and cackled, covered in blood. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the town of Millfield was never the same. People moved away, too traumatized to stay in a place that had once been their home. Frank was never caught, disappearing into the night like a ghost. And the memory of that fateful night lingered on, a chilling reminder of the madness that can lurk in even the most seemingly peaceful places.